The Teacup Takedown. Welcome back to Kalen After Midnight. Tonight we're talking about the art of the dance, the quiet, intricate back and forth between two people when they both know exactly what's happening, but neither wants to say it first. It's a game of observation and subtle movements. It's an exercise in restrained tension. This is the story of a night in the kitchen, a simple cup of tea, and the exact moment I realized he knew exactly what he was doing. You knew exactly what you were doing. That was the central problem, the friction point in all our silent conversation. You were pretending not to, of course. You were leaning casually against the kitchen counter, backlit by the soft glow of the under cabinet lighting. Your expression was neutral, your voice perfectly calm as we talked about our day. But I'd known you long enough by then, 2 months of shared space and quiet dinners, to recognize the micro expressions. The slightly raised eyebrow, the strategic pause before you spoke a sentence, as if choosing the exact weight of every word, the way your mouth curved, just enough to suggest amusement without actually admitting to it. I was watching you from across the room, leaned against the doorway. "You're staring," you said lightly, turning your head just enough to catch my eye. "I'm observing," I replied, pushing off the door frame and moving closer. "There's a difference." You smiled, a slow, easy smile. "Oh? Do explain the difference in my behavior." "Yes," I said, moving to stand a few feet from you. "Staring is unintentional. It's passive. This is research. I'm collecting data points." You laughed, a low, warm sound that felt like the quiet hum of a late-night radio station. You turned back to what you were doing, making tea of all things. A completely harmless activity, except you somehow managed to make even that feel deliberate, efficient, and entirely captivating. You reached for a mug, then another, the blue one with the chipped rim that I always use. You glanced over your shoulder, your expression an invitation. "Do you want some?" The question hanging in the air waited. I pretended to think, tapping my chin. "Are you offering, or is this part of the experiment in proximity?" "Depends. What's the experiment today?" I closed the remaining space between us, resting my hip against the counter beside you, much closer now. I inhaled the scent of your shirt, the steam from the kettle. How long it takes before you admit you're actually flirting. You didn't miss a beat. The mask stayed perfectly in place. "I'm not flirting. I'm engaged in platonic hospitality." I said, picking up the box of tea bags. "That's exactly how confident flirting sounds. It sounds like denial." You handed me my mug, our fingers brushing briefly as I took the warm ceramic. It wasn't accidental. It wasn't rushed. It was a planned point of contact, executed flawlessly. "Careful," you said, your voice lowering slightly. "You're projecting your intense need for intimacy onto my perfectly normal kitchen activities." "Oh, I'm very comfortable with my projections," I replied, taking a sip of the steaming water. "They're well supported by evidence. The data is clear." "Such as?" You leaned in just a fraction of an inch. I gestured vaguely between us, the rising steam creating a soft filter for the fluorescent light. "This, the tone you're using, which I can only describe as velvet. The proximity. You definitely didn't need to stand this close to simply pass me tea. You had an entire kitchen to work with." You leaned in further, lowering your voice, conspiratorial. The game continuing beautifully. "Maybe I just like efficiency. I minimize steps." I looked up at you, the heat from the mug warm in my hands. The heat from you warmer still. You're terrible at pretending you don't enjoy this. Your smile softened then, a quiet crack appearing in the facade. Something warmer, something real, slipped through the confident teasing. Maybe I enjoy that you notice. That did something to me. The room felt quieter suddenly, like it was paying attention too. The hum of the kettle faded into the background, replaced by the acute awareness of how close we were standing, how easy it would be to stay there all night. You know, I said, keeping my voice light, even as my heart picked up speed, the stakes suddenly rising. Flirting implies intention. Ooh, does it? You asked, your eyes holding mine. Yes, I said, it suggests you wanted a reaction from me, a specific reaction. And what if I do? You asked gently, the playfulness entirely gone now, replaced by honesty. I met your gaze, the playful edge still there, but tempered now by vulnerability. Then I'd say it's working. You laughed softly, the sound closer now, more intimate. Good. Because I'd hate to be wasting perfectly good charm. Oh, bold of you to call it charm, I teased, needing a moment to breathe. Oh, you said, waiting patiently. What would you call it? I considered you for a moment, the way your eyes searched my face, curious but unguarded. The way you waited, not rushing me into a moment I wasn't ready for. Attention, I said finally, the focused kind, the kind that feels chosen. Your expression shifted then, the clever mask dropping completely, giving way to something intensely sincere. I do choose you. The words weren't dramatic. They weren't dressed up in poetic language. They were simple and steady, and they landed exactly where they were meant to. I smiled softer now, a genuine warmth spreading through my chest. You're very good at this. At flirting, you asked? An echo of the game we had just played. At making people feel wanted, I replied. You reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear with an ease that suggested a familiarity that we hadn't quite earned yet, but were moving rapidly towards. Only when it's true, you said. We stood there a moment longer, neither of us moving away, the flirtation settling into something comfortable and warm. Not a spark meant to burn out in a sudden flash, but an ember meant to last. You know, you said eventually, stepping back just enough to retrieve your tea and grin. We should probably stop before this escalates into something serious. I lifted my mug, cheering you lightly with the rim. Or, I said, with a challenge in my voice, we could call this a successful experiment and see what the next phase is. You smiled, unmistakably pleased with my answer. No promises on staying serious, you said. Good, because neither was I.